Hi guys, my name is Ashish Nete. We'll start for a few minutes for the other people to join. Whoever wants to join till 5:30, you may start in 2 minutes. I just wanted to make sure everyone's able to hear me and use the live chat feature so that we can have a question answer session in the end. So can just people text on the live chat just randomly? Hi, hello. Can anyone hear me? If anyone is hearing me, please reply. Thank you, Ankit. Hi, that's nice. Okay, so we'll just wait for a few more minutes for more people to join and then we'll start. Okay, my roommate may come and go in between. Ignore him. How's the video quality, guys? It's good. Can you see me? Okay, so it's in the live chat. Okay, so the agenda. I'll start with the agenda. Agenda is simple. Is how it is at how it's about placements and job and the industry after you leave your college, after you leave engineering, how it is, right? So there are a few points. One is my experience. First I forgot to introduce myself to the people who don't know me. My name is Ashish Nete. I am a graduate from the IT Information Technology department. I graduated just last year in 2019, right? And I got a job directly from college campus placements. Okay, so I work at a company called Work India, which was initially placed in our college itself, but then we moved our whole operations to Bangalore, and right now I'm streaming to you from Bangalore. Cool. So I'll explain a bit about my experience. Next, next I'll explain technologies that we use at Work India, just to get acquainted with how it feels, what are the technologies used in the industry. Next, I'll share my placement experience a little, how it all went through, what all companies came, what preparations I did, and what kind of questions I was asked during the interviews. Next, apart from that, I was also lucky enough to be part of Work India's recruitment team when we came last year to recruit my juniors, the 2020 branch. Right. So I have a few experiences I can share from that, and not only SPIT, but I also went to VIT, Vellore Institute of Technology, to do recruitment there as well. We also hired a few students from there as well. So that's it for recruitment. Apart from that, there are some basic technologies or basic things that a fresher needs to know. We'll get into that about what you should be prepared for before you walk into your interview, or what you should do before, how to build your profile before you get into an interview. Next, that's it. And then after that, we'll follow it by a Q&A round where I'll take your questions and maybe try to answer them. Okay. Okay, so let's start with my experience at Work India. It's been almost 11 months now that I've been here in Bangalore working for Work India. It's a very exhilarating experience because the company itself is very fast paced. We we are necessarily a product based company, which means that we have a product, we have an app which is there on the Play Store. We have a website, but it's a product. It's a product used by people to find jobs, also for people to post their jobs or to hire people. Right? That's what our Work India product basically is. So in a product based company, you have a lot of feature development. कि आज यूजर को ये चाहिए, आज यूजर को वो चाहिए, यूजर को एक फोटो दिखाओ, कभी नोटिफिकेशन दिखाओ, and stuff like that, right? So there is a lot of feature development. There are lots of new ideas coming up every day, and because of that we have a very agile workflow or team, which means basically that I work on a feature for a week maybe, and then the next week I may be completely working for a new feature. I may be completely working in a new team itself, right? So it's that flexible. I can be working with different technologies. Aaj I'm working on Python. Tomorrow I may be working on JavaScript. Day after I may again go back to Python. Third day I'm just going to any other language called Go or something. Right? That's the flexibility that is provided at working there. Okay. The other thing is that there are only, if you see, around 15 to 16 members in our tech team. The whole tech team, the whole product, the app, website, even the backend, which involves a lot of data analytics, everything including, there are only 15 members in the team. So what that does is to, on a psychological level, is that you are a big part of a small team. When you go to corporates or when you go to big firms which have 5,000, 10,000 employees like Barclays, JPMC, Acolyte, these firms, though I'm not saying they're bad, but you are a small part of a very big, large picture. You're a small part of a very large picture. So sometimes that doesn't feel as fulfilling as being a big part of a small team. So that's always been my motto, to be a big part of a small team. You feel, you basically get fulfillment. So being a big part of the small team also means you have a lot of responsibilities. There is, my manager doesn't look at me day to day कि ये सही कर रहा है कि नहीं, ठीक है, they just trust me कि मैं सही कर रहा हूँ. And अगर by mistake, because as a fresher इतना मुझे पता भी नहीं है, by mistake if if I do make some mistakes, we learn from those mistakes and we move forward, because we don't have the manpower to like micromanage. My manager doesn't tell me कि ये ऐसा कर, ये वैसा कर, ये वैसा कर. He just tells me कि ये बनाना है, तुझे जैसा करना है कर. Right. So that is a big responsibility, because just making that is easy. Like college project, if you made college project, it's the same as making a college project here also. You're making some app, you're making a backend, you're making a front end, your website, maybe you're making an app. It's the same thing. The only difference is that here, when you're making it, your code is going to be used by millions of people. At least at the level work India is, we have 3 lakh monthly users. So 3 lakh monthly unique users are going to use your feature. So you have to keep that in mind when you're developing. So that's a big responsibility. And also it's a lot of fun to keep experimenting in a lot of stuff. You have autonomy to make decisions, which is not as much possible when you go to big firms, because there are managers who tell you what to do and you just have to implement them. I am also involved in a lot of business decision. Like they do take us in meetings. I have attended a few business meetings in which they tell us what is the reasoning behind taking these decisions, taking business decisions, and everything is not about tech. So one thing I've realized after joining Work India is not everything is about tech. It's not कि तुम्हें website बनानी आती है, then okay, good, you're done. It's not that. You can't stop at there. You will be stuck at the most bottom level. Coding or developing is the most bottom level in this industry. If you want to move ahead, if you want to grow in your career, you have to get managerial skills, you have to get time management skills. And if you are not inclined towards tech at all, you can move into business skills, which means thinking of features, implementing features, and stuff like that. Right. So this has been my experience at Work India, and I'm sure this is the experience at a lot of startups that come around, right? Which have a small team, which are just growing out, and which are just experimenting. Cool. We use a wide variety of developer new. So we use that, and now we are still using it 4 years later. But we have also augmented the tech stack using React for our front end needs. We have Android apps. We have 2 Android apps on the Play Store with millions of downloads. One is in Android. The other one we migrated recently to React Native, right? And for the backend also, again, backend, there is a backend and then there's a database layer. For database also, we have a lot of databases. We use MySQL for some circumstances, we use Postgres somewhere, we use Mongo somewhere. There are also instances of Elasticsearch, Redis, which are used for different use cases. And the main thing that we use is AWS and that is the backbone, actually the backbone of our infrastructure. Everything is hosted on AWS. Without AWS, we won't be able to deliver our code to the end user. That's the whole point of AWS, right? For some of you, these names may be new. You may have never heard of them, but just go and check it out. I'm not saying you need to learn them to be to get a job, but knowing them and understanding them just makes you a better candidate, right? So these are that was enough advertisement about Work India. I'll just move on to some general territory. Okay, so I'll move on with my placement experience, how when I was in my fourth year, how it went. So first, I actually interned at Barclays in my third year. So there was a chance that I may get placed there as well, but my internship experience was so bad that I didn't want to go there. So I didn't look. So one thing I understood from Barclays was that everything about a corporate, that is, as an intern, I didn't have a lot of work. I was just sitting away, time pass kar raha tha. I used to office mein jaake I used to watch YouTube all day. There were days in the morning I started YouTube, and in the till the evening I was just watching YouTube, some random thing or that. So it was a very bad experience. But right now I realize that the experience was only for an intern. My colleagues, my friends, my classmates who are there right now in Barclays or other firms, they are actually doing well. They get challenging tasks. They are enjoying their life, right? So it's not all bad, right? But after that experience, what I realized is that I don't want to sit for big corporates. I don't want to work at JPMC, Barclays. I had not applied for JPMC, Credit Suisse, or any other companies. So when the placement season started, I didn't apply for any of these companies. So I may not be able to tell you the actual experience of how the interview goes. But as a training and placement coordinator, I was present during the placement season, right? So I may able to help you on that. The only company I did apply for was Work India, which was the first startup that came to our college, and I got in. And after that, I don't guess many startups came. So anyway, my options were limited. So I just applied for Work India, went through the interview process, and I got in. Right. Uh, okay. So just moving on. How is the placement conducted? Usually, the first round is a coding round or an MCQ round, which is a very easy round. If you practice, it's a very easy round to pass. And the thing with that round is it doesn't matter what score you get. It just matters that you pass the cutoff. So, but we don't know the cutoff, of course. The company can set an arbitrary cutoff anywhere. But the important thing to understand is if the cutoff is at 75, the test is of 100 marks, and the cutoff is out of 75, then if you get 75 or if you get 100, it doesn't matter. The interviewer is probably not going to see your score. कि इसको कोडिंग राउंड में 100 आया था, he has more chance of going. इसको कोडिंग राउंड में सिर्फ 75 आया था, he doesn't seem a much chance, right? So the 75 वाला guy has the same chance as a person who gets full marks, right? So it's just important to pass the coding round or the MCQ round. Okay, this is a generalization. Sometimes it may vary by company, of course. For each company, you should ask how that company evaluates. You could refer to your seniors, you could refer to your TPCs, you can maybe Sikka sir will of course be able to help. Right. So that is the first round. The next round moves on to a technical round. So the difference here is, I'll just want to put a disclaimer as such that I I'll be talking from a tech perspective, from a tech company which comes for comms and IT. I may not know a lot about core companies which come for EXTC and ETRX, right? So just keep in mind this is all for tech. At least the technical rounds are definitely only for tech. For EXTC and electronics ka core, you should ask someone from that department. Okay, so in technical rounds maybe there may be a few rounds. It is not necessary that there will be only one round of technical interviews. There will be one technical interview. There may be a second technical interview with another person, and sometimes it may happen that a few people may get only 2 rounds. Other people may get 3 rounds because the recruiter might get confused or might be iffy about, he's not sure. So he'll ask his colleague to evaluate again. So it's nothing to worry about if your friend only had 2 rounds and you had to go 3 rounds of technical interviews, right? So it doesn't matter. Uh, but let's see what happens in a technical interview itself. So there are a few parts in a technical interview. One is your resume. Few people start with your resume itself. They'll ask you what is on your resume. They'll ask what do you know about it. And one thing that everyone will unanimously say is never to lie on your resume. Okay, it's okay if you don't have stuff on it, but it's not okay to lie on your resume, because even if like 99% is correct and 1% is just a fib, and the recruiter catches that, he'll just take that 1% and the whole interview will be about that 1%, because now he knows that you don't know about it and you have lied, right? So that's a big no-no. 100% it should be true. It's okay if you don't have much stuff, uh, because as a fresher you are not even expected to have a lot of stuff on it, right? You may not have a lot of experience other than an internship or working on college projects. If you're very confident about your college projects, put your college projects, however small it may be. Agar marks bhi nahi mile honge अच्छे तो भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Just keep your college projects there if you're confident that if the recruiter asks you any questions about it, you'll be able to answer, right? So this is part of your resume. Any, you should be prepared with your resume ki the interviewer, if he asks anything, you should be able to answer. Okay, that's the resume part. Apart from the resume, there are two different parts. One is simple data structure and algorithm questions, which you can do on the pen and which you can do on pen and paper. So the questions like uh, questions which you come across on CodeChef or LeetCode, or if you've been doing any kind of competitive programming, these kind of questions, maybe tree structure, maybe a sample question will be, example question will be how to reverse a linked list. So that's easy. That easy the questions can be, right? It's your ability to think in the moment without a computer that is being judged here, right? It's not about getting the correct solution, but it is about how you get to that solution, right? So if a person knows by heart how to reverse a linked list, he'll write some code and give it to the interviewer. Okay, he'll be impressed. Okay, he'll not be that impressed. He'll just know कि he knows he उसने रट्टा मार के आया है. That is the minimum thought that will come to his mind. But what will help you more is, and what I have followed every time I give an interview is, whenever a question is asked to me, I think aloud. And what that means is, so I've got a question. Let's take reverse a linked list itself. Then I think aloud, as in जो भी मेरे mind में चल रहा है, I say it loud so that the interviewer knows कि what's going on in my mind. And that is the whole objective of this question is, the interviewer should know what's going in my mind, how I am thinking. He wants to know how I am thinking. He doesn't want the solution. He knows the answer. He wants to know how I get to the solution. So reversing a linked list, I may go, acha, we have a linked list. Linked list means one, there is a value and there is a link to the next element. Next element. So what we want is, we want this first element to reverse and the second element to again reverse, and this, the second element's link should point to the first element. Now how will I do it? So so this is how I approach it, and I start writing the code. Probably if you are not able to write a code in C or Java, in any language, it's okay if you write pseudocode. Just confirm with the recruiter once. Should confirm with the interviewer that it's okay to write pseudocode, because I may make syntax errors or maybe something like that. Doesn't matter. Point is, you should think aloud of what you're writing. So if you write the first statement, whatever you write, you should say, okay, I've written this because I think this will be useful. So if I'm declaring a variable, int linked list, so I'm like, okay, this is for declaring the linked list. Next, linked list has two attributes to it. It has a value, okay, int value, and it has a link. So node link, node next. So next means the next linked in it, right? So you keep on going. Keep writing your code like this. That's how the interviewer knows that how you're thinking, and that's more important than actually reaching to the correct solution. Cool. So this is one part of the technical interview. Another part is somewhat kind of difficult. It's not usually something that engineering students have been taught in college, but it's called system design, which means they'll tell you a product or a scenario of real world and ask you to create an app for that. The most basic one is, or the most common one is, to create an attendance management system. So they'll ask how you'll create an attendance management system. First thing is you have to create how will the database look like. So attendance management system may, what all tables will be there. In each table, what all attributes will be there, which attribute will be a primary key, which attribute will be your unique key, what are the relationships between them. They may ask you to draw entity relationship diagrams, right? This is the whole idea behind a system design challenge or a system design question. There are a few other examples. There's a database management system, there is airline management system, there is okay, there are more. I don't remember right now. Okay, so you can read about these questions online, and of course practice them. You can have them practice, and but the thing is, you will have to develop your DBMS skills to be really understand if the interviewer throws you a unique question or something you've never heard before. And it's very easy. You don't have to go into too depth of it. So attendance management system can have a whole thing. It can have a college. It can have lecturers, students absent है, present है. Of course, वो तो चाहिए. Teachers कौन है, deans कौन है, principals कौन है. So it is a vast system, but you don't need to go into that depth. We just need the bare minimum for the attendance management system to work. So that means we'll need a subjects, and we'll need students, and we'll need a relation between the students and subjects if they're attending or not. Maybe we'll need a lecturer, a table for lectures, a schedule, but that's it. Just 4 or 5 tables में you can create a basic thing. बस ये याद रखना है कि भावनाओं में बह नहीं जाना है. You will keep, because once you get a unique challenge, your mind starts spontaneously thinking of, oh, ये भी हो सकता है, ये वो भी हो सकता है, ये भी हो सकता है, वो भी हो सकता है. We don't need to go into that. Just basic 4 or 5 tables में बताना है कि क्या हो सकता है, right? Because you don't have a lot of time. Cool. This also conveys that you are concentrated on the task at hand and you don't get distracted by novelty. So right, so this is another type of questions. बाकी general questions भी आते हैं, which is something general knowledge से ही आता है. If you read about it, आ जाएगा. Something like Java में ये क्या होता है, वो क्या होता है, JavaScript में वैसा क्यों नहीं होता है. Of course, if you don't know the language, they won't ask you. They'll ask you first कि आपको ये language आती है क्या? अच्छा, ये language में ये क्या होता है? तो C में maybe they'll ask you pointers क्या होता है, right? C आता है तो pointers क्या होता है, right? So these kind of questions, which are first year, second year kind of questions. Cool. One thing I want to stress on in a technical interview is, if you don't know the answer, please say you don't know the answer. There is no point in ghumao firaoing the interviewer, because in a second the interviewer will know that you don't know it, but still you are fibbing, or if you're trying to wiggle your way out of it. If you're 100% sure that you don't know the answer, say, sir, I don't know the answer. I'll read about it, and maybe if I read about it, I'll understand it, but I have not come across this. Right? So if he asks you something in Java, may he ask you what is JVM, and if you have not read, and JVM is not something that everyone reads. It's Java virtual machine. You know it's Java virtual machine, but आगे पता नहीं ज़्यादा क्या करता है. So just say, sir, it is Java virtual machine, but I don't know in depth करता क्या है. Answer the question, but if you don't know, don't make tales. कहानी नहीं बतानी है उधर, ठीक है? पेपर नहीं है, MU का पेपर नहीं लिखना है इंटरव्यू में जाके, right? So that's one thing. Moving on from technical interviews to, after you are done with your technical interviews, there may or may not be a round of HR interviews. Now, HR is a very confusing interview, because it's very confusing to explain, because it is not set. Every company has its own policies. The HR interview may be an HR interview, it may be a managerial interview, it may mean anything. It's usually everything apart from tech, right? So they may ask you about your personality, questions related to your personality. Of course, you may have heard about questions like, tell me your strengths and weaknesses, tell me about yourself. A very common question is, tell me something that is not in your resume. So I suggest everyone prepare something that is not in your resume. That was not worth putting in a technical resume, but still is very good. So my answer was I had been working with an NGO which I started with my friends from school. So that is something that I didn't put in my resume because it didn't matter much in a technical resume. But whenever some HR asked me a question like, tell me something apart from your resume, this is a good question to put. Then they may ask you क्या क्या करते थे एनजीओ में, तो इसमें झूठ मत बोलना और मेरा आंसर मत चुराना प्लीज. Do some tell actual something truth. Cool. So that's something. These are the cliche questions that are asked in an HR interview. But mostly, what a recruiter is looking in an HR interview is if you, as a person, are right for my company, right? So the thing is, now, you may be excellent or the best in tech, right? But you may not fill the culturally, you may not fit or fill the criterias that the company is looking for in a personality. Okay? And that's nothing to be sad about. Sometimes some companies are looking for something which you don't have. Okay? And it's not necessary you should have. Some other company may actually want you because you don't have that skill. Right? So that is one thing कि अगर आप HR राउंड में भी जाके सिलेक्ट नहीं हुए तो ऐसा मत सोचो कि यार मैं टेक्निकली कम हूँ या मैं ऐसा कुछ हूँ. You may be excellent technically, but sometimes the recruiter may not see you as part of your company, right? Because I have done that myself. We have when I went for the recruiter experience, we have rejected candidates even though they were technically good. They would fit perfectly as a tech team in our company, but they just didn't fit as a person in our company because they lacked one skill, just a single skill, which was very necessary, which we looked in all our candidates, right? So that is the one skill they are looking for, and we don't know what that skill is. Sometimes these companies show that skills, मतलब they tell कि हाँ we are looking for dedicated, on time management अच्छा होना चाहिए लोगों का. They say these things in their PPT, and if you know these things already, then you can showcase how you are inclined towards those skills in the HR interview. But if you don't know what they are looking for in an HR interview, it's best to just be honest about yourself and hope for the best. Okay. So that's it for HR interviews. Can't tell you much. उसका training अलग से कोई HR person लेगा तो हो सकता है, but just be honest about yourself in an HR interview. Okay, so ये हो गया. Now for overall interviews, I'll get that to another part. Okay, so next agenda is preparations. How do you prepare for interviews? There are a few websites. A few of them are CodeChef, Lead Code, Geeks for Geeks, India Bix, and prepare your resume well. I'll just mention these in the chat so that they're there. Geeks, CodeChef and Lead Code are good for coding practices. Geeks for Geeks are good for interview questions. And indiabix.com is good for aptitude questions. So for your first round, these are the preparations that you required for your interviews and your placement season. Also, you should be prepared with your resume. You should have a really nice resume prepared with a nice design, right? You'll get a lot of templates online. If you have some unique design, तो recruiter को भी थोड़ा refreshing लगता है. यार बाकी सब एक template लेके आए हैं. But you bring something new, you bring color, so that's always good, right? So prepare your resume very good. Cool. So moving on from preparation, the next is I'll share something from the other side. As a recruiter, what I saw when I was recruiting, when I went for the placement seasons. First is first is coding round to clear. The score doesn't matter as long as you pass. This is a philosophy we had at Work India. We had a 75% cutoff, and uske upar the score didn't actually matter itna. So, ठीक है. Next is, as a recruiter, when I see a resume, I pick something from the resume. So you may have 4 projects. I'll pick one project. I may pick randomly, or I may ask you which project you are most confident about. And when you select that project, I will grill you about that project. All my questions will be about that project. I'll ignore all your resume. Okay? So you should know everything in depth about whatever you write in your resume. Again, circling back to the same point that you don't lie on your resume. It's very important. Say the truth and be very confident of what you have written in your resume. Cool. Next is I ask about system design and data structures, usual questions. There may be sometimes what happens. There may be two recruiters in front of you, or two people sitting in front of you, and you may be single, which may seem a bit intimidating at first. But confidence is key in any interview. So, in not in any interview, it's confidence is key in your life, but especially in an interview, even if you give the right, so just imagine a person, imagine two people, both of them gave the right answer, but one said the right answer with confidence, the other said कि हाँ ये हो सकता है, हाँ मतलब he knew the answer was right but he still hesitated and said हाँ ये हो सकता है, maybe ये right है, stuff like maybe, हाँ हो सकता है. These don't invoke confidence in the company and just hurts your cause, that hurts you as a candidate. So I usually see confidence in a candidate, it's very attractive. So the thing about confidence is again it's subconsciously communicated. So as a recruiter, I may not be ki confidence dikh raha hai ki nahi dikh raha hai. But if you're confident in all your answers na, my subconscious will catch it and I'll actually register that candidate as on a higher score than a candidate who is not confident but gave the exact same interview. Cool. So confidence is key. Again, I like to reiterate is I don't know is better than the wrong answer. If you don't know the answer, please say I don't know. But don't give a wrong answer because that will hurt you more than an I don't know. Because of course the interviewer doesn't expect you to know everything that we ask a question about. Cool. एक last advice है which I myself was not able to follow, but I realized after I got out of it is there are companies that come in your college. You have placements, there may be 50 companies, but there is a whole world outside of your college as well. You still have chances to get selected even if you go outside of your campus. So don't stay restricted to only the companies that come to your campus. Apply to companies which are also hiring outside the campus. Just a side note, I know this may be a difficult year for hiring, so campus placements will be your best chance. Maybe a lot of people are not hiring, but this is only for this year. Maybe, hopefully, the economic takes a takes a turn and goes towards a positive. We hope that, but if it doesn't, still there are people hiring outside of campus as well, right? Okay. The last thing that I want to convey was basic technologies to know before you go for any placement. So the thing is, you don't actually need to know any basic technologies. You just need to know whatever is taught in your engineering. So data structures, algorithms, this is taught in engineering. You have given exams on them. Database management systems, you have given exams on them, so you know about these. This is the only thing that the interviewer is looking for from a campus placement for a fresher who has just graduated. These are the things that are important in a fresher. It's of course very good to have experience, to have internships, to have done many projects, to know about a lot of technologies. It's good, but it's not necessary. I've seen people getting hired at the same company, one who knows a lot, who has done a lot of projects, and another who just passes in exams and has good marks and is smart, right? He knows his database and DS, but he doesn't have much experience. He doesn't know a lot about different technologies. But still, these two people got placed at the same company at the same level, right? But one thing I'll actually want to say is everyone should learn Git. So Git is very important in the industry right now. You can't go anywhere in technology where they don't use Git or some other form of version control systems. When you read about it, you'll understand what it is. But please, I urge you to read about Git and also practice it. Thoda sa, just work on a few projects in Git. But it's very good to know. It's a very good to know thing. Uh, Other than that, that is, you can ask your questions in your live chat, and I'll try to answer as fast as possible. Thank you. Okay, one by one, one by. Is Work India planning to recruit this year? We are not yet sure. We were planning to recruit from SPID itself. We would come, but we are not sure about the revenues anymore. We do have requirements for tech, uh, but I'll get back to you specifically to Work India. I'll have to get back to the training and placement team later this year. Oh, I just see Renuka Pawar ma'am is here. I'm very honored that she joined my live session. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for the encouragement. Okay, so the next question is where to prepare system design questions. As I said, attendance management system interview questions. You can Google interview questions for technical teams and you'll get. But Geeks or Geeks is the first solution, first stop you should make. Should Git be given priority over competitive programming? Okay, so for once, I'll just be one disclaimer is that I've never been a fan of competitive programming. I've not done much competitive programming in my life. Whatever I did was just to pass the interviews. I did a lot of development in my life in my college. So I won't say is more important than competitive coding, but it's as important. Git is as important as competitive coding. So competitive coding gets you into the door. Git Git will actually help you cross it. Okay. Next question. While mentioning the projects in the resume, do we need to mention our role specifically? It will help to mention your role specifically, of course, because then the interviewer knows that you only worked on the front end, so he'll only ask you front end questions. And if you mention back end, so he'll only ask you back end questions. Even if you don't mention, like resume has a very tight space, so if you don't have space and you don't mention, you can just when the interviewer asks, you can tell that in this project I only work on the front end. It was a team project, and my other team worked on the back end. So then he'll only ask you about front end questions. Okay. Next question by Mahesh is internships and projects versus competitive coding questions. What roles do each of them play and to what degree? Wow, such a question, such a nice question. Okay, so I'll tell you my experience. I was the first part. I did only internships and projects. I didn't have any competitive coding karma or competitive coding score ऐसा कुछ जो मैं डाल सकूं resume में. Again, so it's only about as a fresher. Agar if you're giving a fresher interview, then it doesn't matter because they will judge you on basis of are you able to answer or not. So even if doing development and competitive coding, you acquire the same skills. You acquire the skills of analytical thinking, and that's what is more important here than doing internships and projects or doing competitive coding. Of course, competitive coding makes you more analytically minded in the sense that you think about the logic a lot. More internships and projects give you experience into how it actually works in the industry. So if you were to differentiate between the two, uh, internships and projects mean the practicals, competitive coding means the theory. So both are important in any subject. Okay. Gold play button दिलाओ भाई को. Wow, flattering. Unless that was sarcasm. Okay, next question, guys. Okay, so does the number of hackathons? I don't think the number matters. Uh, if you are winner, then it matters. If you're coming in the top three, then it does matter. But the number, if you attend 10 hackathons and you don't get any prizes, then it's no different than if you attend 5 hackathons and get any no prizes. But the thing about hackathons is it may not help you directly in an interview, but it will help you with the experience. You may mention a hackathon as a project in your resume, and then you'll be able to explain the project. So I never put a hackathon section in my interview or resume. I have attended these hackathons. Only I mentioned only the ones that I have won or I have come first, second, or third in it. If the project that I've done at hackathon is worthwhile to put in a resume, then I have put it in. Otherwise, I have not even mentioned the hackathon. Okay. Next is, are ML projects worth it since there is a lack of company which recruit for ML based profile? So that is true. There are a lack of companies which do recruit for ML based profiles, but it matters for the profiles which are ML based. The thing that from my personal experience, when we came last year, a lot of your seniors, the people who currently in fourth year, they did a lot of ML in their interviews, right? The thing is, that's not a turn off. Doing a lot of ML is okay, it's good, but if you're not able to answer basic questions about ML, it's you're going to tank. So everyone came and said, we know ML, we did this, we did AI, ML, oh, blah, blah, blah. But when you ask them basic questions about linear regression and genetic algorithms, they were like, oh, we don't know. Because in the end, these all projects were copy paste. So copy paste as in tutorial देखा, tutorial में जैसा code किया था वो उठा के लगाया, चिपकाया, and that is your project. So those kind of ML projects don't matter. But if you actually done research in ML, those kind of projects will actually help. In any profile they'll help. The only problem will be if the recruiter has no knowledge about ML, he'll not ask you a lot of questions on it, because recruitment ka thumb rule is, if you don't know the answer, you don't ask the question. Okay, so recruiter will never ask you a question he doesn't know the answer to himself, because he'll obviously not be able to judge if your answer is correct or not. So in that case, ML is a bit iffy. Okay, next question is, were you familiar with React before placements? So the thing is, yes, I was familiar with React because I did a few projects in it. I did a lot of, I put my hands in a lot of jars.